Hi guys, welcome back to Delaware Studios. This is another Android programming tutorial. We'll be talking about geofences on Android. Location-aware resources allow your application to interact with the physical world, and they are ideal for increasing user engagement. Although many mobile apps use them, this particular topic we're discussing now has been often overlooked. And geofencing is a virtual perimeter set on a real geographical area, combining a user position with a geofence perimeter. It's possible to know if the user is inside or outside the geofence, or even if he is exiting or entering the area. Imagine a university application that can tell you which colleagues and professors are currently on campus, or an app for a mall that rewards regular customers. There are many other interesting possibilities that you can explore using the geofences in Android. So I'm actually going to be walking you through on how to create that, and we'll be creating a geofence around an airport right there in Lagos, which is called Murtala Mohammed Airport, an international airport. So we're going to actually create a geofence around there based on the latitude and longitude coordinates that you actually select. So we're actually going to talk about geofence interface, geofence transitions, and we'll be doing a lot of permissions. We'll create the layout, and we need the Google Maps API key right there in this application. Very, very important. So, and I'll be showing you how to actually achieve that. So let me just quickly walk you through on how to get the Google Maps API key right there in the developers.google.com. You can easily go to the Google API console to create or select a project. You continue to enable the Google Maps Android API. On the credentials page, get an API key. If you have an existing API key with Android restrictions, you may use that key. This is right there in my console, whereby I have a list of applications. If you notice that you've gotten to the level whereby Google asks you if you need to extend, and you must actually subscribe to one thing or the other, you can easily pick your created project, or you create a new project if you're still new to this kind of flow. So I have a pack view estate project right there. You can enable API. You need the APIs of which is the Google Maps Android API. Very important. You need to enable this API, because you need to talk. So this is enabled. So if you notice, you have a disable to disable, so it has been enabled. So when you move to your credentials, you need this aspect very well. You create an API key. So you get to create API key here, or if you have an existing API key, or you create a credentials, can you see there? You create your API key. If you're still new to this, I've actually created one, so I won't go through this. I have. Let me just empty this. I don't really need this particular API key. I have one API key here, right there, which is for Android apps. So inside this project, you can decide to even add multiple packages. It's not limited to one, because you need the SHA-1 certificate fingerprint. And you can easily get that to when you're creating a project or you run a debug key store right there from your Java bin. There are different ways you can generate. You can even generate it from Android Studio. I'll show you later on how to generate this SHA certificate fingerprint. Once you have this set, you just need the API key, and from there you're good to go. So afterwards, I'll be going to Android Studios to actually create a new project, so that I'm going to walk you through on how to actually. Don't forget again, your package name must be in par. That means it must be equal to what you submit right there in the Google console. So I'm going to actually name this application geofencing. Just geofencing, and the company domain should be Delaware Studios. That's cool. And I want it sit right there in the Android Studio projects. Actually, like my projects to be here. Do you have anyone there? I don't think so. So Delaware Studios. So let me see if it must just be what the domain geofencing. Okay, that's cool. Back there, Delaware Studios geofencing. So you can move on. Click next. For phone and tablet, we're going to go for an empty activity. Click next and just finish up. So right there, we're going to have a structure. And before I actually go into more details, I'll actually be copying the Google, which is actually going to be the Geofence transition service. So this is actually out of the box from Google, and I'm actually going to bring that in, and afterwards we'll create the main activity together. So this is just how the flow of this application will look like. So let's move straight to the rest. The layout will be, first of all, we need to include the dependency, which is the GMS Play Services location. We only need location, so we are actually streamlining down to location, not just the Google Play Services library. So we need to include this dependency, which is compile. Google, Android GMS Play Services. Location 9.0.1. We may have a more stable version, but we're good to go with this. Google Android GMS Play Services location 9.0.1, and let's make our minimum SDK 16. So it's actually going to just sync that as well. So from here we'll be going to the layout, and also we're going to include the menu. We need a menu. It's actually going to be at the top bar of the toolbar. Now our activity main will be the next point of work. Now we have it set, the Geofence main activity. That's cool. Now I'm going to take away this text view, which I'm going to replace. Let me maintain a linear layout over here instead of a relative layout. Just have linear and simple. Now I'm actually going to take away this text view. Let's show it linear. I'm going to replace with the latitude and longitude layouts. So it's actually going to be a linear layout. Layout with night, match parent or content. It's fine. I'm going to actually have the orientation. Orientation. So this should be horizontal. We're going to have a background. Color, which calls the color parameter. Going to have padding top 5 dB. Padding left. Let's make that 15. Padding right. 15 dB. Also padding bottom. 5 dB. That's cool. So let's get to our text for the latitude. Contents. Let's get to our the ID. text color, Android text color white. Get to add that in the colors. Android layout width 0.5. Android text, that's going to be, let's add code is lat. Now we're going to actually go to the values, the colors, so we need to bring in the color name. I think we'll call it white. It should just be let's go back to the main. Let's just continue. Now we're going to have for the longitude. Let's copy this. Now it's also wrap content, color white. ID is going to be long. That's fine. Now after that, we're going to have the fragment for the Google Map. That's the Google Map fragment. Let's bring that in. Call the fragment. We're going to have layout with tonight match parent. We're going to have Android name, which is cam.google. Android.gms maps map fragment. That's it. And now we're going to have an ID. Android ID equals to map. Just this way. That's where we go. Now we need to call on the XML XMLNS Android HTTPS schemas APK REST Android. That's what we need. That's fine. So we have it set this way. We have a fragment right inside there. So we're good to go. We're going to actually add an invitation. Article. That's fine. So you have it set. So that's the fragment for the map and the latitude and longitude right on top. That's going to be an action by anyway. That's just how this is going to be set up. So let's quickly create the menu. We need a menu, and we need to make that right now. Get the directory called menu. Now we're going to create a menu file called main. Let's go menu. That's fine. So we have that set. Let's have our first item. Geofence, Android, title, create Geofence. So we're gonna have show as action, which whenever put this action whenever, let's close it already. So copy this. This time the ID will be clear. Call this clear Geofence. Show as never to. That's fine. So from here, we're actually going to be moving to our Java classes. Right in the Java class, we have the main activity, and we're going to have a helper that will actually assist us in connecting to our service, which is the Geofence transition service. Geofence transition service. This is a class that we actually need, so I'm actually going to copy in the details right inside here, but we'll get to more about the main activity. The main activity is the focal point of this particular application. Here we go with the Geofence transition service. This is a helper class which actually extends the intent service. This is where we get the notification, that's the intent to start the main activity, and also the creating and sending of notification. This is where we actually get that set up. We created our notification using the notification. This is a private method, and it takes the message, the pending intent, which is the notification pending intent, and it builds them up using the small icon. It sets the color, the content title, and so on. We're actually going to have a notification when you are getting closer to the Geofence region, or when you are actually leaving the Geofence. So these helper classes are handy and useful for us, but our major focus will be on the main activity, which I will be writing the code with you now. The main activity is the major focal point of this particular application. We need to implement some attributes right there in the class. So we have to include the implements, and first of all, add up. Let's see. Let me actually break it from here. I think it should be okay this way. So still kind of loading. All right, I have it set. I'm going to break it right there. So we're going to actually implement the Google API client, calling the connection callback, and so on. So I'm actually going to walk you through on the major aspect of the implement. So we're going to have the Google API client, which calls the connection callbacks. We're going to have the Google API client, which calls on connection feed listener. We're going to have the location listener, on map ready callback, We're also going to implement the Google map on map. Click listener. Go to Google map on marker. Click listener. Try to make this to align. And let's have the last one, which is actually going to be resort callback. How about we pass in status? Right there. Now, right inside this particular fine, we're going to have it all this way, but we're still going to implement them right inside the. So let me bring in this, the Android status. So, from the GMS services, we need to import some modules, the API client. Never mind. So let's just continue with the structure of this application. We're going to have a private static final tag, which is actually going to equals to main activity, calling get simple name. Going to have some private feeds as well. Private Google map. To have another one, private Google API client, called Google API client. We're going to have private location, called last location. Now we're going to have a text view. That's text last. Text long. So we get to have a map fragment. Fragment. Called map. We're going to have the private static of final string notification message. That's the notification message. As a string called notification message. So we're going to create an intent that send notification. So we call that public static intent make notification intent or context string message. Get that right? So let's have the body of the method. First for the intent equals to instantiate new intent. Let's get to import the intent and also the context. Import class new intent. So you have context, main activity of the class. So we call intent, put extra notification message and message. Close that right there. So you return intent. That's fine. So that's for the intent that starts the notification. Now we're going to move to our onCreate method. We have the super onCreate and we set the content view to the layout. Now let's initialize the text latitude and also the longitude. So text lat equals text view. Find viewer ID as id.lat text long equals to text view. Find viewer ID r.id.long none. So you have that set. So now we're going to pass two methods inside the onCreate method. The first is the init gmaps, that's init the Google Maps. We're going to create the body of this method. And the second is the create Google API. We're also going to create the structure of this. So now let's have the create Google API first. That sits outside the onCreate method. Let me try to bring this so that I'll have some space to work with. Now that sits outside the onCreate method, so we're going to have the private void create Google API empty parameter, and first of all log to tag d, which goes tag on the called create Google API. That's set. I have to close that. Corresponding. Now, if the Google API client is equals to null, what are you going to do? We need the Google API client, and we instantiate with the new Google API client. So we actually don't need all these other details. Disconnect, reconnect. No. Just let me just undo this step. We just need the Google API client builder. That's what we need. So we pass the builder this class and the structure, and we get to, let me just take away this, don't need it. Now I need to build up. So we need to first of all add connection callback, add connection callbacks to this class. Add on connection field listener to this class. Add API to the location services dot API, and we're going to build up. Cool. You have that set, and that's fine. So we need to override the lifecycle of an activity. That's the onStart, the onStop. That's override. Let's have the onStart protected, void onStart. Start of this activity is going to call the super start, and also it's going to call the Google API client connection when starting the activity. There's the Google API client and connects. That's the onStart of this particular activity. So let me collapse that as well. Now we're going to have the onStop. We override the parent of the superclass. We call that protected void onStop. So onStop you call the super onStop. And you also disconnect the Google API client, called the Google API client disconnect, just this way. That's onStop of the activity. Now we need the menu, which is, you have to override public boolean and create options menu. So you pass menu and also its object menu. Let's import this. So we call the menu inflator, an object inflator, get menu inflator, and inflator, inflate our menu. We've created the menu file earlier. Main menu, we have that set menu. That's cool. So we need to return true the statement. Now we're going to have the main overflow buttons, which is we need to write the on options item selected. We should know all this by now, just to take you through all that. On options item selected, we need to pass in a parameter, which is the menu item, and item. So cool. We're going to have a switch statement where we have item and get item ID. That's fine. So the first statement, as the case to the first statement, will be first case if the ID is Geofence. You have the set. So what should happen? We need you to start Geofence. That's a method which we still need to create, and you return true. For the second case, if the ID is clear, you need to clear Geofence. That's fine. And return what? True. So outside the case, you need to return the super on options, item selected, and passing the item as parameter. That's all. That's setup. So we're going to create the start geofence and also the clear geofence method. We'll get to do that right inside the code. We'll get there. Just let's keep following. Now we're going to have a private final integer, which is a request permission. We're going to set it to 999. You can set it to any integer you like. So the first aspect is to check for connection. So let's check for permission. As a private boolean, check permission. And we're going to log the D, and we need a tag to check permission. So we return the context compact to check self permission, this class, manifest permission, access find location. So we actually still need to make this equals to the package manager. Permission granted. So we'll close it right there. It's fine. And now we need to ask for permissions. Need permission, you need to access some device functionality. Let me just make this way so I'll be able to see what next. So let's ask for permission. We're going to create another private void. Ask permission. Log the D. So we have a tag, ask permission. So activity compact dot request permissions, and first is this class. We're going to have a new string, which is an array, new string array. Let's declare the manifest. Manifest dot permission dot access find location. So we call the request permission. That's cool. So we have that set that way. So now let's verify user's response of the permission requested. You need to verify that. So we write, we have another public void on the request permission results. On request permission results, let's have some parameters. First, the integer, the request code. If you've done things related to Facebook authentication and so on, you should be familiar with this. Have a non-null, and there's a string array. Permissions, another non-null, and there's an integer array grant requests results. So you have that set. Now let's have the body. So the body, for log the tag, which is on request permission results. So we call the super on the request permission results. You pass the result code or request code rather. Pass permissions, and we grant results. Switch request code. First case, the request permission, and if the grant results, the length is greater than 0, and the grant results, the first index of the array, which is 0, is equals to the package manager permission granted. Now you will get to pass this method get last known location. The method will pass in as if the grant result length is greater than 0. Now else, it should be an else statement. Else, we're on permission denied. So we got to break it. That's just after here. We have a break, and we have that set. That's fine. We have everything working. So now, if the app cannot work without the permission, Also have to undo that. Private void permission denied. That's when we need a permission denied. First of all, log which is tag. Sorry, log to tag, and we run permission denied. So that's it. That's if the permission has been denied. So let's try to initialize the Google Maps because we need that. That's the private void init gmaps empty parameter. This is when we call the map fragment. Initialize this as map fragment. Get fragment manager instead of find view by ID. So we now find fragment by ID, which is map as the ID. Still need to call the map fragment. We get map async to this class. That's cool. So that's for the init gmaps. Now we need a callback when the map is ready. Let's create a callback. So we're going to override public void on map ready Google Map as a parameter. We have Google Map log the tag. We have on map ready map equals to Google Map while map set on map click listener to this map set on marker click listener to this class as well. That's for the on map ready method. We're going to have when the map is being clicked, because you can actually set the lat and long be on the click of a location right there in the map. That's the essence of the geofencing. So let's override public void on map override on map click. That's lat long. Lat long. Let's create an object lat long. Log d tag. Now on map click open parenthesis. So now we got to concatenate the lat long and concatenate the closing column. So we close that right there. So now let's run the marker for geofence, passing the lat long as the parameter. So this is another method to get created. So we need to create the on marker click. This is when the map is clicked. To override public boolean on marker click marker object marker boolean. Let's create a space here. Import the marker. Now we're going to have the log D and to tag on marker click listener. Create this, the space, concatenate with the marker get position. The set, so return false. Now let's have the private location requests. A lot of methods right here when it comes to geofencing. Just be patient, have them set up one after the other. Private location requests, which is the location request. We're going to define in milliseconds. This number is extremely low and it should be used only for debug purpose. Private final integer update interval as equals to 1000 in milliseconds. Don't forget. Private final integer fastest interval 900. So let's now start the location updates. But we're going to have another private void start location updates log .i tag. So start location updates. We have the location request equals to the location request dot create. Just this way. Now let's set priority. Priority location request. Priority high accuracy. We need it. High accuracy. Let's set interval. Update interval. And let's set fastest interval, which is fastest interval. That's fine. So we need to check if the permission. So we check for permission. And now we call the location services fused location API requests location updates about passing the Google API client the location request and this class. Location services, and we have the fused location API, we have the request location update, Google API client, location request, and this class. This one. So the problem, we get to missing permission required by fused, like is it access coerced, or we'll get to sort that out later on. No problem with that. Just very simple. Now let's have on location change when you change your location. Public void location. Whoa. Location change location so we log tag, we have location changed. Now this is an array location close it right there. So go for the last location, goes to location, and you write actual location. Get to create that pass location in there, and we'll close that. That's right actual location. Now when the Google API client connects callback is connected, so we need to actually undo that. So on connected, we're going to actually get last known location and some other things. So let's have the right public void connected at nullable, which will have the bundle this log to tag. I think I would rather copy it because we keep using it. So this should be connected. So we get last known location. All these still need to undo them and recover geofence marker. So we're going to have connection callback when suspended. We need to undo that. Allow to do. Let's have to override public void connection suspended it takes integer I. So undo this. Paste the right end. So we're going to have it as on connection suspended. That's all. Connection suspended. Now we're going to have the on connection field. This is when it's been suspended. Let's have when it's actually failed. Public void connection failed. At non-null connection results. Connection results. We're going to have this as on connection field. So we're going to have the get last known location, the right actual location. We have the geofence and others. I'll actually be importing some of them right now, and I'll just explain how they flows just because of time, so that we won't just waste all time here. So if you notice, we have the get last known location, whereby we check for the permission, and we get to concatenate the longitude with the last location, whereby we get the longitude method and also the latitude. We have the right actual location, whereby we set the text to the text lat and text long based on the latitude and the longitude method. We have the location marker, whereby we set the marker location. This is actually how to set your marker, the position to the latitude and longitude, and the test if the map is not equals to null. You get all this done, and you have the camera update, so that it's going to actually focus the marker to the right coordinates. We have the geofence. That's the marker for the geofence. That's for the actually the perimeter of where you actually create your geofence on. You must have a marker set for that. So you start the geofence. You notice that it's start geofence method, and we have the geofence request and also the geofence pending intent. I would like you to just go through all these snippets yourself, get to understand how to even call the Google Maps, how to draw the geofence circle around the particular latitude and longitude coordinates. So with this, you're set and ready to go, and I would like to shed more light on the manifest. You need the permission, the user's permission. That's the access find location, very important, and right inside the activity, which is just here, you need to specify the service, which, if I may ask you, which service did we use? The helper now, we actually use I'll get there, Android name, which is the Geofence transition service. That's the service used. You need to log that in the manifest, and you need the metadata. The metadata, which is actually, let's have the Android name, which is the cam.google.android.gms, the version. You get that? You must have a corresponding value, Android value, and this value will be set. It's just going to take the integer of the Google Play service version. That's at integer of Google Play services version. That's for this. Now you need to lock in your API key. Very, very important. It's also another metadata. This should all sit right inside this activity. Just cut this out. It should right sit inside the activity. Cut it. Let it be right inside the activity. And outside here, you're going to need another metadata. This time for your Google API key. Very, very important. Without this, you won't be able to access the map. This is when this actually came from the first aspect of this tutorial, where I actually walk you through on how to create a project in the Google console and how to actually generate your SHA key. And I will show you something very quickly now, how to go about generating SHA key without running it and the command. You're actually going to use a debug key store to generate that. So you're going to have your API key here. You have to specify it here. So that should be a value, Android value. So here should be your API key. Very important. So you cannot actually create it this way again. When you go to new, you come here, Google. So you create Google Maps activity. Once you create this Maps activity, it's going to actually create a Java class and also XML. In that XML, you find your SHA key certificate. Those are keys. So you can actually copy that, paste it right inside the Google console and generate and use the API key. You have to register this package inside your Google console, or else it's actually not going to be able to communicate with the maps. So after doing all this, you're ready to launch your application or test. You're good to go. You can actually go back and see what we've done. The Geofence transition service, which is the helper that sends the notification, and the main activity that does all the calls when it comes to creating geofencing, drawing the geofencing circles, on start of the activity, on permission granted, and so on. So I'm actually going to test this out in an emulator, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Here we go with the application, the Geofence. If you notice, you can set the maps, which is from the fragment map. So if you actually didn't specify your API key correctly, you'll be able to get this launched. And if you are using an emulator, which is actually much more updated than this, you have the ability to set the latitude and longitude. But I'm actually going to do this by clicking. If you should notice, my location is right Nigeria, Lagos. So you can have the marker. If you notice, the marker is actually picking the location of this particular device. So I can zoom closely. I want to actually create a geofence around the international airport, which is right there in Lagos. Keep zooming in. You have the ability to do that. Let's keep zooming in. That's a Kerja. That's okay. We have the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. So let me create a geofence around there. So we have it right there. You should notice, can you see that geofence? It's right showed around the Murtala Mohammed Airport. So if there's any, if I should get right inside this portion, I'll get a notification that I'm right inside the perimeter of this particular airport. So you can actually create your fence in other aspects in the map. You can specify the latitude or longitude, or you can select and pick, and from there you get to see. Let me even double click to see the latitude and longitude. Can you notice that we have the latitude and the longitude of this particular perimeter? So this is just how to create a geofence. And if I'm getting closer to the international airport, I'm actually going to have a notification. So this is just all about geofencing. Try to use it in course of probably you're creating a kind of e-store, or you're creating a map system for probably a university, school, parastatals, government establishment, even private establishment as well. You can integrate geofencing in terms of asset management and have it integrated and use it fully in an Android application. Thank you very much once more, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful time.